Most of you know who I am. I'm Wendy. I'm the Executive Director here at the Ashland County Historical Society. And this evening, Wendy Brisbine, who is our curator, is going to present a program on the history of Samaritan Hospital. And I'm really excited to hear her presentation because she's done the same sort of presentation in a couple different ways. She did it for the Samaritan Hospital School of Nursing group, and then that got her interested in the hospital, and then she just kept pursuing it and pursuing it. So she's really done a lot of hard work on this and really has done a lot of research on Samaritan Hospital. So, again, thank you for coming this evening. When this presentation is over, upstairs in our costume rooms, she's put together an exhibit of Samaritan Hospital clothing and artifacts and articles and all kinds of cool things up there. So I encourage you to go up there and look at it. And if you enjoy our presentation this evening and you feel so inclined to give us a donation, we'll also accept those. There's a donation box over there. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Wendy.
All right. So good evening. Like Jenny said, I'm Wendy Brisbane, and I am the curator here at the Historical Society. And I'm here to talk to you about the history of Samaritan Hospital and its nursing school. With almost 112 years to its history, I can't cover it all. But in addition, a lot of the information that I came across, there were statements that were conflicting, so I apologize if I get any of the facts wrong, but I hope to give you a better understanding of the importance of this institution and to the history of this community. So on April 21st, 1910, J.L. Clark said that he was ready to purchase land, build a hospital, equip it, and pay for all of it. He established the Ashland Hospital Association, which was a group of trustees that could manage and maintain the hospital. His stipulation for this generous gift to the community was that the hospital shall be open at all times to the people of Ashland County that were in need of hospital services regardless of their ability to pay. The care at Samaritan Hospital was given without distinction to race, nationality, sex, color, religious opinion, financial, or social position. In those days, no one had insurance for hospitalization for when sudden illness struck. An endowment fund was established to be used to support the hospital so they could provide care for anyone who needed it. It was initially funded by J.L. Clark's business partner, Dr. Gilbert Hess, the F.E. Myers and Brother Company, and Jacob Kahn. The site of the new hospital was a 5-acre tract, some sources say it was 4 acres, at the top of a gentle slope that overlooked the city and the surrounding countryside. Efforts were made to make it appear as cheerful and homelike as possible, and to present such an appearance as to harmonize with the residential district in which it was located. The architect designed the building with the outward appearance of a palatial home, with tall white columns adorning the facade. The heating and ventilation systems were the latest development. The electric lighting and plumbing were state-of-the-art. There were hardwood floors and mahogany doors with glass doorknobs in the patients' rooms. The floors in the hallways and bathrooms were terrazzo marble or tile. Samaritan Hospital opened on May 28, 1912. It was a day of great celebration. Schools and businesses were closed, and the downtown was decorated with flags and bunting. A special interurban train ran from Loudonville to Ashland to bring people from around the county to the festivities. The dedication was originally scheduled to take place on the hospital grounds, but due to heavy rain was moved to the Opera House. The education of nurses began in June of 1860 when the Florence Nightingale School of Nursing opened at St. Thomas's Hospital in London. The Samaritan Hospital Nursing School was started when the hospital opened in 1912 with 4, some sources say 5, student nurses. The nursing school was a recognized school for nurses affiliated with the Cincinnati General Hospital and Ashland College. At the time, candidate requirements were, this is good, that they be females between the ages of 18 and 30 years a graduate of an accredited high school at the top half of her class, in good general health, and fully vaccinated. Later, their requirements included that she be emotionally mature and stable. By the 1960s, the requirements included a chest x-ray and a statement from the candidate's dentist noting that all necessary dental work had been done and that her teeth were in good condition.
Bite somebody?
A pre-nursing test was now required for admission. By 1971, you also had to include your SAT scores. In the beginning, marriage was only permitted during the last 3 months of your senior year. By 1968, married applicants were allowed to enroll as long as their home life didn't interfere with their participation in the program. And it was made clear that married students would not receive any special treatment at the school. The period of training for the Samaritan Nursing School was 3 years and included practical and theoretical instruction in medical, surgical, and obstetrics. The 3rd year, they received additional training in pediatrics, communicable diseases, psychiatry, and therapeutic dietetics. Regulations also stated that each member of staff was expected to do their fair share in the instruction and teaching of the student nurses in the training school by giving lectures, demonstrations, etc., as arranged by those in charge of the training school. At the first commencement ceremony held on May 27, 1915, John C. Myers gave a speech in which he revealed that in the 3 years since the hospital was founded, 350 cases had been cared for, 85 babies had been born at the hospital, a hospital ward cost $10 a week, private rooms ranged from $17 to $24 a week, and that charity patients, or all who were unable to pay for rooms or treatment, were cared for free of charge. Despite his generous contribution, J.L. Clark's name was only mentioned once, probably in deference to his well-known dislike for publicity or accepting the gratitude of people. At this first commencement, 2 of the original student nurses received their degrees. They were Talitha Martin and Nora Vesper. Hold on. Went too far. Talitha Martin was born July 17, 1875, just south of Polk in Ashland County. When she joined Samaritan's nursing program in May of 1912, the ladies in her class lived and studied on the 3rd floor of the hospital. She was the first of the 2 girls who finished the training period in 1915, passed her examinations, and received her diploma. She worked general duties at Samaritan before taking a leave to care for her ailing parents. She returned to Samaritan to make a career of nursing. She did private duty in homes and at the hospital for many years, including her 80th birthday. The Registered Nurses Association of Ashland County honored Miss Martin by naming a scholarship after her, which was offered to a freshman student. Nora Vesper was the second of the 2 graduates that first year. She was born April 13, 1889, and graduated from Ashland High School in 1907 and the Bone Break Theological Seminary in Dayton in 1910. After graduating from the Samaritan Hospital Nursing School, she left Ashland for Sierra Leone, South Africa, to serve as a missionary nurse. A pioneer in the missionary field, she was also a pioneer of air travel, being among the first to fly across the ocean. In Africa, she served the people without a hospital and with only occasional visits from a doctor. She was an instructor of the native women. She gave prenatal care, delivered their babies, sutured lacerations, and upgraded their health habits, morals, and religion. Her special joy in service was taking care of the babies and teaching the mothers better child care. Over the years, she took an active part in women and youth works, as well as organizing the first Girls Missionary Guild chapter in Africa. She retired and returned to her Ashland home in 1956. In 1964, she was visited by Mrs. Frederick Hamilton of Sierra Leone. Mrs. Hamilton was one of the first babies Nora delivered in South Africa in 1916. The Samaritan Hospital Alumni Group created a scholarship in her name that was also given to a freshman student at the nursing school. In the early days of the hospital, nurses performed a variety of duties. In addition to patient care, the nurses made cotton balls, cotton swabs, and sanitary napkins for the obstetrical patients, as well as paper bags for waste materials. They distilled water, made solutions for IVs, boiled water for use in medication, and mixed salt, boric acid, and Novocaine solutions. The nurses were also in charge of cleaning, testing, and autoclaving the rubber gloves that were donated by the Faultless Rubber Company. Each week, they polished silverware, scoured wash bowls, did the mending, and treated stained linens before sending them to the laundry. They also boiled the obstetrical and surgical instruments before deliveries and surgeries. Less than 57 days after Congress's declaration of war in 1917, the Ashland County chapter of the American Red Cross was formed. J.L. Clark offered to be the chapter chairman, but only if the founding committee agreed that it was a temporary position. He held the position for 23 years. When World War II broke out, the Red Cross was the first to start recruiting nurses for overseas hospitals. The Gray Lady Volunteer Program at Samaritan started in 1945 to replace nurses who moved to hospitals closer to the war front. Their duties included reception desk assignments, assistance to the volunteer nurses' aides and graduate nurses, greeting patients and visitors, and answering non-medical questions. They also manned the hospitality cart that was wheeled from room to room, offering magazines, candy, and other items patients could purchase. The Gray Lady program was a partnership between the hospital and the Red Cross to fill a special need for the hospital. The gray dresses are gone now, but the desk service continues today. In order to keep up with medical advancements and demands, Samaritan Hospital has undergone many changes over the years. In November of 1921, F.E. Myers and his wife, Alabesta, donated a home just south of the hospital to be used for student nurse lodging. This home was, fittingly, the Alabesta home. In 1941, the third floor of the hospital, which had previously been used for nurses' lodging and classrooms for the nursing school, was converted to patient care. As Ashland grew and a second nurses' home was needed, and this time one was donated by the three Myers children, Mary, Helen, and John. This home was named Alabesta Lodge, in memory of their mother. Both the Alabesta home and Alabesta Lodge provided comfortable living quarters for the student nurses, along with classroom facilities, instructors' offices, a student library, and recreation rooms.
Is that house still standing now?
No. No. When Nettie Hess, wife of J.L. Clark's business partner, Dr. Gilbert Hess, passed away in 1941, she bequeathed $40,000 to Samaritan toward the construction of a contagion ward. She also left $10,000 for the hospital endowment fund and $5,000 for a private room bed for the use of the Harry Higgins Post of the American Legion. 1942's renovations of the hospital included a second major operating room, an emergency receiving room, a basement dining room, and a physician's consultant room. 1942 also saw the death of J.L. Clark at the age of 72. In 1953, a new three-story wing was added on to the east end of the building and housed the hospitality shop, surgical and obstetrical suites, kitchens, dining rooms, and central supply. These additions more than doubled the size of the hospital. In 1956, demand for hospital services increased due to to the rise in birth rates and more people having insurance for hospitalization. Also in 1956, J.L. Clark's wife and co-benefactor of the hospital, Mary, passed away at age 83. In 1965, the hospital announced a major renovation project would take place over the coming years. Part of these renovations included the removal and auction of the columns that once adorned the front entrance of the hospital. William and Irene Ramsey heard about the auction and thought the columns would be perfect for their 1841 farmhouse on West Adariah Road. I thought I was going to get it right that time. William purchased the columns for $500 and carried them home in his hay wagon. The columns languished in the Ramsey barn for years before finally being installed in 1981. Another part of these renovations was the construction of a 4-story addition to the hospital, which included a radiology department, 4 air-conditioned rooms, an elevator, and lobbies on all floors. In 1969, after the death of Helen Myers Miller, her children, Mary, Parker, and T.W. Jr., donated the T.W. Miller home on Center Street to the hospital to be used as an additional dormitory for the nursing school. The Miller home was built on land given to Helen by her parents, F.E. and Alvesta Myers. The addition of this building allowed room for an additional 30 nurses to attend the school. At this time, Alvesta Lodge was moved to a parcel of land behind the Miller home with its main entrance facing Samaritan Avenue, so all student housing would be in one location. In 1971, William C. Kelly Jr. became the new administrator of Samaritan Hospital. This was just the first of many roles he would take on during his tenure at the hospital. He replaced longtime administrator Thelma Rumpf, who had held the position since 1947 and had recently retired after 25 years of service to the hospital. In 1972, it was announced by the board of the hospital that the last class of the Samaritan Hospital Nursing School would be the class of 1974. At its completion, the school had graduated 406 registered nurses. From 1975 to 1977, the hospital faced the threat of the loss of their accreditation if the physical deficiencies of the present building were not corrected. Major renovations were needed. These included a new exterior look. The original 1912 front section was demolished, and a new porch and entrance was added to the south side of the building. Construction of the 102,000 square foot addition included 2 elevator shafts, a new coronary care and intensive care unit, as well as a fully equipped central supply area. No major additions were made for a while, but in 1984, modernization upgrades were made to the maternity unit, the ambulatory care unit, and the food services department. In 1994, the Samaritan Hospital Foundation was established as a separate nonprofit organization from the hospital. In 1996, the urgent care program opened. This provided treatment for minor medical conditions. It was designed to save patients and insurers money by avoiding unnecessary ER visits. It also gave ER personnel more time to concentrate on the more serious cases. In 1997, Samaritan merged with Mansfield's People's Hospital. This augmented Samaritan's resources and enhanced its clout in the healthcare market. It also put Samaritan in a better position to grow in the community. From 1999 to 2000, construction began on an addition to the building off the existing emergency room. The addition included a lower level, a first floor, and a second floor. The first floor addition would provide an additional 3,560 square feet to the ER. The 6,600 square feet created with the lower and upper floors was designed for future expansion. A new entrance was created for the emergency department, with the old one relegated to ambulance use only. In 2001 and 2002, we saw the construction of what is known as the Tower, which included space for medical records, a physician's lounge, expansion of the ER, and a helipad on the roof. Becoming landlocked and needing to expand, in 2004, Samaritan moved many staff offices to the former Harlow's building on Main Street, calling it Samaritan on Main. The move freed up space for an expansion of the surgical area and outpatient clinics at Main campus in 2005. This project added 9,543 square feet and renovated 10,592 square feet of the hospital. In 2015, Samaritan Regional Health System merged with University Hospitals to become University Hospitals Samaritan Medical Center. In 2022, University Hospitals Harrington Heart and Vascular Institute began serving patients at UH Samaritan. Updates were made to improve patient care and provide a wider range of heart services. Samaritan's cath lab was originally opened in 2002, providing low-risk and diagnostic heart procedures. These new renovations helped them provide a wider array of procedures that they felt provided more comprehensive care, which would save and improve lives. Through the continued dedication of the Board of Directors and staff, UH Samaritan continues to provide outstanding medical care to the people it serves and works towards the benefit of the community, which was founder J.L. Clark's dream all along. In a letter written to the community after the building of his dream, J.L. Clark wrote, "Dear fellow Ashlanders, it's funny how dreams are born. Sometimes they take years of thought, and other times they just hit you. I remember the day my dream of Samaritan Hospital came to me like it was yesterday. One Sunday morning, I was sitting at home in my library, thinking about the Bible story about the Good Samaritan. You know the one. The fellow does good deeds for others regardless of who they are. And somehow, I get this idea of a community hospital where no sick person would ever be refused care. I knew right then and there what we'd call it, Samaritan Hospital, of course. The community said it was too far out of town, no one could get there. But I decided that I had just the right spot in mind. My friends and I worked for the Ashland community by helping out with the development of the YMCA, supporting the Red Cross, and Ashland's music programs. Of all the community projects I worked on, Samaritan Hospital is the one of which I am most proud. It was dedicated in 1912. Just look at how it continues to grow. Healthfully speaking, J.L. Clark.